What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So, sorry for the delay on the last couple podcasts and the time off. It's going back and forth between New York and Connecticut. I had some computer problems, studio still isn't fixed, so I had to, record Monday and Tuesday and then not release it until this weekend. But we're back. I'll be in Connecticut for the most part for at least the next 3 or 4 weeks or so. I probably go back to New York for a week or so. But so hopefully we fix. I'm hoping in a week or two. It's possible and it might not be fixed until August, but I'm hoping it's fixed at least by the end of the month. But might control that, but let's get started here. Let's start with so let's talk about the NBA Finals. In Game 3, Boston took it 106-99, 38-8 for Jaylen Brown. Kyrie had 35 in a loss. Of course, Luka fouls out. About over 4 minutes to go in that game, and Boston was up big heading into the fourth quarter. Dallas big comeback in the fourth quarter, got within a couple of points, but Boston hangs on. But in Game 4, Dallas extended the series, blowing out the Celtics 122-84. Luka had 29 points. He assisted or scored on 36 of Dallas, 61 in the first half alone, and Boston had 35 of the team in the first half. I've more saying Boston was like sandbagging or point shaving or something. I don't know. You never know. Maybe they're like, all right, guys, we've dominated the whole series. We got Porzingis, appears to be helping us to play in some capacity. If you hold him out for another game, he'll definitely be good to go. He may not be able to give us 30 and 10, but he can help us in some ways. Let's take it easy tonight. If we pull it out of our ass, cool, but, let's not really worry about that. Up 3-1 going back to Boston. Kind of like the week out kind of thing. Maybe, Tatum did not play well. Brown did not play well. They were not making shots. They were missing shots they pretty much always make. Drew Holiday did not step up. None of these other role guys like David Tillman or Peyton Pritchard or Sam Allen really did anything. Luka was dominant. Kyrie played well. And they said before the game, Porzingis will play in specific situations. If he didn't start, then end up playing. You would think he would at least start. Maybe he comes out, towards the end of the first quarter, and then maybe you wait for the right spot to put him in again. Maybe you play him 20 minutes or so. Didn't start, never even played. My guess was it was a smoke screen. They were just kind of, not maybe they weren't playing as hard as they possibly could have. They decided to activate Porzingis, but they didn't really plan on playing him. So he's as healthy as can be for Game 5. Go back to Boston and the series. I'm sure that's their goal, obviously. So they have that game tonight. If they did do that, playing a dangerous game, because if you lose Game 5, now all of a sudden it's 3-2, and all of a sudden you have a series again. Dallas now has proven they can win on the road in Boston. You lose Game 6, I think it could happen in Game 7. You're in danger of one of the biggest collapses in NBA history in the finals. You lose them 3-0. But I think they can take care of business tonight. I'm picking them to win, but should be a great game. But Boston leads 3-1 in the NBA Finals. Stanley Cup, Game 3, Florida won 4-3. They're up 4-1 going to the third. Edmonton late comeback attempt falls a little bit short. They hang on and win 4-3. And then in Game 4, Edmonton dominant. They win 8-1. A goal for Connor David, who actually broke the record by Wayne Gretzky for assists in one playoff. He's got 32 assists in his playoffs. 2 goals and assists for Dylan Holloway. Goal assist for Matthias Janmark. Maybe Florida did the same thing that Boston did. We're up 3-0, we're down 9. Let's win at home. Let's kind of play lazy tonight. Get blown out. Bobrovsky got pulled after they went down 5-1. In the middle of the second period. But tomorrow will be Game 5. Goes back to Florida as Florida leads 4-1 in the Stanley Cup final. But on to my NBA offseason series. We're going to do the Western Conference non-playoff teams today, so teams that didn't even make the play-in. So there's 5 of them. The San Antonio Spurs, the Portland Trailblazers, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Utah Jazz, and the Houston Rockets. Let's start with the San Antonio Spurs. So Spurs didn't do too well this year, but obviously you have a building block in Victor Wembanyama. So 21 years old, had one of the best rookie years ever, averaging 24 points, 10 rebounds, averaged like 4 blocks. Was pretty obvious rookie of the year. Was the runner-up in defensive player of the year. I thought should have won defensive player of the year ahead of Rudy Gobert. But he's obviously the guy that they got. To me, they should build their team the way Denver built their team. Listen, you saw won the NBA championship last year. Because it's kind of similar thing. Denver's got, building around a big man this is not something you see too often. Usually it's around a guard or a wing. Not too often you're building around a big man. Denver, I thought, did a really good job of doing so. And I'm not comparing Wembanyama to Jokic by any means. But Jokic is, a big who, can handle the basketball to an extent. Obviously has a really good three-point shot. Is an amazing passer. Wembanyama, a little bit of a different play. He's obviously a much better athlete than Jokic. He's got probably even better handles. But he doesn't play for three-point shooting or the passing. But he's a he's a guy who's over 7 feet tall. But he can handle the basketball. He can shoot a little bit. He has the ability to pass. He is an amazing defender. He can go 1 through 5. Really good athlete. So it can be a little difficult to build. Post building, kind of building this way. It's you have maybe like a point guard like next to Jalen Brunson, or a wing like the Boston Celtics do with Jason Tatum. It can be difficult. But you look at Denver. They got a perfect co-star in star point guard in Jamal Murray. Then you give him a really good 3-and-D guy in Michael Porter Jr. And then you give him, an ace defender who can shoot the ball a little bit, Aaron Gordon. And then you have some bench pieces, other role players like Contavious Caldwell-Pope. You had Jeff Green in the past. You had Bruce Brown in the past. And Christian Brall's a guy that you draft. You drafted a bunch of guys, Carr's guy you drafted. Reggie Jackson's a vet you brought in. So Spurs should kind of build their team like that. To me, Devin Vassell can kind of act as like that Michael Porter Jr. type of piece. He's a guy who's a good player. He's a good athlete. He's a pretty good shooter. He can play both ends. You have him. Other than that, I think you have a few of like those bench pieces like Denver does, with Christian Braun and KCP when they have Bruce Brown and Jeff Green and all those guys. Like Kelvin Johnson's the guy I think is a pretty good scorer, good defender, good rebounder. A guy like Devontae Graham, who's not a bad backup point guard. Even guys like Blake Wesley and even Jeremy Sochin to an extent, he had a better year this year. Zach Collins is a solid backup big man. But to me, they need a really good point guard that can score. I know they've talked about there's been speculation to go off to Trae Young. I think the guy they should go after with Dejounte Murray, and of course, Trae Young's teammate in Atlanta, also appears to be on the trade block this offseason. I think he'd be obviously used to play in San Antonio. I wonder if they could look to bring him back. Now, Popovich. You may know some of the players. The Spurs had a lot of turnover since he was there, but a couple of the players he obviously knows, the coaching staff, Pop, and the organization. He's a really good player, really good scorer, can shoot. He can play a little bit of defense. I think he'd be a nice compliment for Victor Wembanyama. That's what they're going for right now. I still got the guy that can be like that guy who guards their best player. I mean, Wembanyama can do that too. I think they need one more guy, like an Aaron Gordon kind of player. If they could find that in free agency, they should have a decent amount of room. Looking, the only key free agent, C.D. Osman, who I would call it a key free agent. They have a lot of picks. They have the 4th pick from the draft and the 8th pick, also 35 and 48. They have a non-taxpayer in the biannual exception. They got almost $6 million until the first apron, almost $7 until the second apron. So they have a lot of money to spend. They have a lot of young players. They have a lot of draft picks. So the Spurs have the ammunition to really do anything this offseason. And I think they got to start building around Victor Wembanyama. He's obviously still young. He's still 21 years old. The way it works, in 2 or 3 years, the guy is gonna, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money. The rookie scale extension right now is what, at least 5 for 185, 175. If he makes all NBA, you might go up to like at least 205, if not more. And salaries are only going to get higher. New CBA. So try and build around him best you can now before you have to pay him in 2 or 3 years. So, but that's how I do. I think Deontay Murray should probably be their top target this whole season, and then get like an Aaron Gordon kind of player who can you know guy who can play both ends, can guard team's best player, can score, can shoot a bit, and just keep building. You have a lot of these young guys just kind of seeing what they are. Jeremy Sochin, Malachi Branham, Julian Champagny, Blake Wesley. Zach Collins is still 27 years old. See what these guys got. You obviously have one of the greatest coaches in the history of the NBA, and Greg Popovich. And I say just keep building. But I would say Deontay Murray trying to grab him from Atlanta and get an Evan Gordon kind of player. So next up is the Portland Trailblazers for the next thing I'm going to cover. So of course they blew up their team. You trade Damian Lillard to Milwaukee Bucks. The main piece got back was Drew Holiday, who you flipped to the Boston Celtics. So they also did not do very well this year. They're going into a massive rebuild, looking at what they have so far. No really important free agents. Only guy that worth mentioning is probably Moses Brown, who's a third-straight center. They have a 7th pick in this year's draft, also a pick 14, and 34 and 40 in the second round. They have non-taxpayer mid-level, and by no exception, a couple trade exceptions. Don't have as much money to spend. They only have a little $21 million, clear of a second tax apron. They should just blow up this roster and just completely start from scratch. And all that kind of that you trade Damian Lillard, that you flip Holiday, so you kind of did that. But you got guy Malcolm Brogdon who's due $22.5 million, and he's 32 years old and going to last year of his deal. Move him. He can help a contender. That guy was a really good defender. He can score a little bit. He can shoot a little bit. He's a good ball handler. He's got a lot of playoff experience, has some championship experience. He can definitely help a contender. You can get a couple of nice picks for him, maybe a nice player for him. Move him. Even a guy like Jeremy Grant, who I know is under contract for a while, but he's 30 years old. He's due almost $30 million. I dangle him. He's a good player. He can be a really solid third option on a good team. Power forward. Even DeAndre Ayton. I know he's got 2 years left. He's due $34 million. He's not worth that much. I know he played a little bit better in the second half of the year last year. He had a little hot shot, but he was put up like 20 and 18 every night, it seemed like. But overall, to me, he's a bust. From a number 1 pick. How he went ahead Luka Doncic in that draft is beyond me. And Troy Young, for that matter. That's kind of crazy. He's a pretty good rebounder, but he's not a great scorer. Not really a good defender either. He really isn't that good to me. Not really a fan. To me, they need a wing really badly. They have a surplus of young guards. Alfred Simon's a really good player. Sue Hanson's a guy who struggled in his rookie year, but still just 20 years old. Shaedon Sharp's a guy who hasn't shown a whole lot, but still just 21. So you have a lot of young guards. Obviously, Malcolm Brogdon's still there for now. And you have a lot of bigs. You have DeAndre Ayton there. You have Robert Williams, who missed most this year with an injury. This guy was always terrible when healthy. He's a very good player, very impactful guy. Now you drafted Chris Murray last year. He's another big you have, but you don't really have any wing here. Jeremy Grant's more of a 4. I consider playing with the 3 even before I play him at the 5. Only legit wing you have is maybe Matisse Thybulle, who's just a defender to have on your bench. They really need a wing. I think if they package a couple of these guys, they should probably try on the draft, but this draft is very weak. If they can get Rob Dillingham, I saw a mock where I had him going to the Knicks, like 24. I would love Knicks to draft him. I don't see a universe where he gets even remotely close to that pick. I'd be shocked if he doesn't go in the top 5. You think there's only really maybe 7 or 8 players that have even borderline all-star potential to me in this draft, and one of them was Nikola Jokic, the starting point guard, who just tore ACL. So we don't know how long he's going to be out. So if he has to possibly not play in the year, that's probably going to hurt his draft stock at least a little bit. Who's a guy who's a top 10 guy, probably going to go looking at 7 to 10 range. Maybe no higher than 5, no later than probably 10 or 12. We'll see how much that hurts his draft stock. They can like piece maybe like Brogdon, Grant, and then maybe a guy like Sharp. Maybe I honestly consider going back to Brandon Ingram. I know they're not that close to winning, but like you're right. You have Anthony Simons, a very good scoring guard. Scoot looks rough so far. Sharp hasn't shown anything really. Brogdon's is a trade chip. Grant to me he's a guy who can be a nice piece on a contender. Don't know what he can do for a team out of the race like Portland. Ayton, I'm not really sold on. Robert Williams, he's got to stay on the court. And he's got some Matisse Thybulle. He's not going to have to do offensively. We don't know what Chris Murray is or any of these other and all these other randoms. Delano Banton, Jabari Walker. We don't know if they're anything. We're looking at they're not anything. They're late round picks in the NBA for a reason. Get yourself a wing. They have not had a good wing in a while. This is such a horrible organization with Joe Cronin there. They did not get enough for Damian Lillard. They traded CJ McCollum a couple of years ago to New Orleans. They didn't get a lot back for him. This is a bad organization. You let Marcus Aldridge walk in free agency a bunch of years ago. Like, this is a really, really bad organization. They do things wrong all the time. The third pick they took Scoot. I mean, I like Scoot coming out. I was one of the people that was high on a lot of people were lower on him. They appear to be right. I appear to be wrong. We'll see what happens as his career continues. He looked right over matches rookie year. It's not a good start for him. He was probably the pick at the time, but looking back, honestly, that might be a major mistake, especially since you have a lot of really good players in this draft. Guys like even Amen and All-Star Thompson, Derek Lively in Dallas. It's not looking great for Portland. I trade a couple of these guys for Brandon Ingram. At least right now you have Anthony Simons, you have Brandon Ingram, and you still have a couple of trade chips left. So I make Brandon Ingram your top priority this offseason for Portland. Moving on, let's go to the Memphis Grizzlies. So Memphis they're an interesting spot because they were, obviously Ja got to spend the first 25 games for the weapon incident again. And, we thought, all right, they'll spread it off, up and down. But once it comes back, they'll be fine. They'll go into the year, we thought the West was still kind of weak. They'll still be a top 4 team in the conference. Combination of they were really bad without Ja. They were like 50 games under 500 without him, or like 10-25 or something. The West being much stronger than we thought. Minnesota breaks out, and Oklahoma City breaks out, and Dallas was a little bit better than expected. And just, and obviously they were depleted by injuries. Ja comes back for 9 games and breaks his hand, has surgery. And Bane missed a lot of time. Steve Adams didn't play the whole year. Then he traded him. Marcus Smart who was basically brought in to replace Ja Morant. He missed a lot of time. And by the All-Star break, it was a lost year. But, if they're healthy this year, having Ja healthy and Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart, all these guys healthy, it should be a much better team. Problems West is a lot stronger. So you can't just coast to your second seed in the Western Conference. There's a reason, last year they were a 2 seed and they won one playoff series in the last 2 years prior to last year. 2 years ago, they were the 2 seed. You lost in 5 to Golden State in the conference semifinals. Of Golden State win a championship. Last year, you 2 seed again. You lose in 6 to a 7-seeded Lakers team. Yes, the Lakers team was playing low going in. Obviously, they remade their team at the trade deadline. And then they went, and then they got hot at the right time, and then they're going to the conference finals. But team he still should have beat. I know Ja, had his head in 3 different directions, and he was playing with a broken hand. He missed a game. They'll only give he missed, so it's not, you can't even use that. Also, 6 to them else this year. What went wrong? What could have went wrong for Memphis. We ended up the 3rd worst team in the Western Conference. They don't have a ton of assets. They have a 9th pick in the draft, also 39, 57. They have a taxpayer mid-level, trade exceptions. They don't have a lot of money to spend. They only have a little over $10 million until the second apron. This team is mounting that can really compete for a championship. You look at the West, Oklahoma State is going to be there. They're a really good young team. They're going to be there for a long time. I'm sure Minnesota will be there. They probably need another piece. They'll be there. Denver will be there. You think, all right, Dallas should be there. Their roster is a little bit flawed. They're definitely there's a reason they're possibly like losing 5 in the NBA Finals. If they lose today, I'll kind of further my statement. But they should at least be there. And then you'd say, well, the Clippers were a team that could drop out because they have so many guys at free. That team is old. Probably should be completely torn apart, to be honest. Phoenix, the team that's kind of screwed with no draft picks and no money to spend. And have no depth and don't play a lot of defense. They're firing, hiring coaches left and right. Durant's getting older. They have health issues. Right, so maybe they could be the 5th team in the Western Conference. I feel like even Dallas, even as currently constructed, is better than Memphis. Like a 7-game series, Dallas and Memphis, I'm taking the Dallas Mavericks next year. So I still think they're starting a first round exit in the face. You have Jaws, a star point guard. We got to build around them. You have Desmond Baines, a really good shooter. Jaren Jackson is an amazing defender. He can score a little bit. We'll see if they pick up Luke Kennard's $4.7 million option. He's a good shooter to have on your bench. Smart's a good player. He's a really good defender. Can shoot a bit. He's got a lot of playoff experience. Brennan Clark's a good defender. Conshark could shoot on the bench. They need a legit second option next to Ja. You should probably package a couple of these guys. Maybe Gigi Jackson's a guy who had a good rookie year, a second-team all-rookie this year. Maybe Zaire Williams and Clark. See what that can get you. Because they need a legit second option. And they don't have the money to yell at get a huge player. You think they can't bring a player, unless they're up against like an Abram for that much more than $10 million. Tax mid-level exceptions, $5.1 million. So they gotta try and make a trade for a legit second option. If they can find a way to make it work for a guy like Zach LaVine, I think that wouldn't be a bad move, but they got to figure out something. This team just isn't good enough to be for a championship quite yet. Up next, the Utah Jazz. So, of course, they were a second team out in the Western Conference. The big question is what you do with Lauri Markkanen. He's got an $18 million non-guaranteed salary right now. He's still 27 years old, but he's only got another year off on a deal. There's been a lot of talk about trading him. Honestly, it might not be the worst idea. I look at their team. I like Colin Sexton's a good young point guard. He's Scott stay on the court. It seems a lot of young players. Keontae George, Walker Kessler. You got Taylor Hendricks. Even Kenneth Walton's a guy still 22 years old. Only played a couple of games before he got hurt. He looked pretty good before he got hurt. He's a big body that could be a useful piece. I just think you probably get a lot from Markkanen. He's a really good player. He's a guy who's a really good scorer, could shoot, pretty good rebounder, decent passer. Not a good defender, but offensively, he's an absolute weapon. Bigs that can shoot are very valuable in today's NBA. He's only got another year left on his deal. I don't see Utah competing truly for a couple of years. Because maybe they could squeeze into the plan. They weren't that far out of it this year. Besides that, I don't see him going any further. I'd move him, get the best back for him. Well, they have a surplus of bigs. You have John Collins, who's pretty good. Markkanen, you drafted Taylor Hendricks this year. You have Walker Kessler. He's one of the big piece you got in the Gobert trade. Kenneth Lofton will be helping next year. The only true guard you have is Sexton. You still have Jordan Clarkson, who's a really good six-man, but he's 32 years old, got 2 years left on his deal, do $14 million next year. I think he's the guy that you should look to move. Let some of these kids play. He could free up some playing time for Keontae George. But I'd probably look to move Lauri Markkanen. That's honestly what I would do. But they could use another guard, another wing, something like that. As for picks and free agents, they have 10 picks in this year's draft, also have 29 and 32. You have non-taxpayer may level in the biannual, and then you have a ton of money. You have $7 million for the first apron. So. But I'd probably trade Lauri Markkanen. Let's go to the Houston Rockets. So Rockets made a late run, had like that 10-game win streak. Ended up just short of the last play-in spot. They have a lot of have a lot of young talent. They have a third pick in this year's draft, also a pick 44 in the second round, a non-taxpayer in the biannual. Still have $30.7 million till that first April, even though they spent a lot of money last offseason. Have a lot of good young players. Jalen Green, from a third pick in the draft, he obviously averaged like 30 points a game, that 10-game win streak. He's flash. You have, Troy Smith, Amy Thompson, for Sengun, Roof Healthy. He's a great player. I like him a lot. Cam Whitmore, Terry Easton. He's a really good player. You have a lot of really good players on this team. Look at this team. You have obviously you brought in Van Vliet last year. He's a good point guard. I think he's a good point guard. He's a very good scorer, can shoot, a good passer. He's an underrated defender. I think a very good player. He's obviously got James, who was a big part of the Raptors 2019 team. Remember, he had that big game in Game 6 against Golden State. He had a bunch of clutch shots in that game. Jalen Green's a young player. I think has a chance to be really good. Even Tom's a great defender. Waiting for his offense to come along. I like Jabari Smith a lot. This kid Sengun reminds me of Pau Gasol a lot. I like him. You have other young guys like Cam Whitmore. To me, I think just keep building. They have a good coach, Ime Udoka. I thought they'd be a playing team last year. Didn't quite happen, but they were really close. I think if, now all these young players have another year under their belt. Udoka's got, they have fully just Ime Udoka's coaching style. And things like that. Obviously, before you're Steven Adams, that'll be a nice piece to have this year. Of course, we traded him to trade line. He was injured last year. If you have him back, he's a very valuable piece. He's a good vet to have. He's a great rebounder, can score inside, can protect the rim. A lot of playoff experience. He's played with a lot of good players throughout his career. He's a really good locker room guy as well. He's good, kind of like bodyguard kind of guy too. If guys try to mess with some of the younger, smaller players on the team, they still third picks, though. They should be another decent young player in the draft. But just keep building. If things are free from that makes sense, no reason not to go after it. If you see if there's a good wing you can go after, but just keep building. That's my advice to Houston Rockets. All right, so let's shift gears now. Stanley Cup promoted assistant coach Ryan Warsofsky to head coach. Look, they fired David Quinn. David Quinn's not that great of a coach. He's a very good college coach. Rory hasn't had a lot of success in the NHL, but that Sharks team is so bad. I'm not sure if anybody would have done too well with them. I think they thought that, all right, no one's going to want that job. They're being set to fail. We have a young assistant who they apparently see something in Warsofsky. Let's give him a shot. He's not up for any other head coach job, so you go from a job he's not going to say no. So a guy who's got other offers, he's like, you know what, I'm better off waiting a year, sitting on my couch or sitting behind the bench as an assistant or coaching in the AHL or something, and then going out next year and look for a better job. You can evaluate him. If he shows you something great, if not, you can let him go and try to look for a real coach, so to speak. But I think they're just trying to evaluate a young coach. And also, he's a former Sacred Heart hockey player, so shout out to him. He's now selling the Sharks' next head coach. The New York Rangers re-signed Kakko a year for $2.4 million. I don't mind this at all. Kakko's not the player we thought he was going to be, at least so far. More second overall pick to me, he seems like it's going to be a bust. But every year, kind of the same. He starts off hot. Looks like he's becoming the star we thought he was going to be. Then he gets hurt. Zathrow comes back and doesn't play that well. By the end of the year, he's on the fourth line. But he is good defensively, if nothing else. Yes, he's not there just to be like a checking line guy who defends. We brought him in to be a legit top 6 star. Hasn't been that, but nothing else. He gives you a little bit of pop on the bottom 6 and is a good defender. For $2.4 million, I think that's fair. For what it's worth. But the football, the Jacksonville Jaguars extended Trevor Lawrence to give him 5 years, $275 million with $200 million guaranteed. This is a really risky deal. Obviously, his rookie year was terrible. The Urban Meyer year. They 2 years ago, he had a really good year, threw for 4,100 yards, had 25 touchdowns against 8 picks. This past year, they just stepped back, completed 65% of his passes for just over 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns against 14 receptions. He was playing hurt throughout the year, but to me, I think that's a lame excuse. To me, in sports, if you're healthy enough to be out there, you gotta perform. That's just the way it goes. The guy's making millions of dollars, so a lot of people thought he was going to break out. He was slightly less accurate. He threw for slightly less yards. 4 touchdowns, 6 interception. Had the same QBR. Rating was lower, so he took honestly a small step back. Was not the breakout we thought he was going to have. So what he's done to this point, he's not worth nearly $5 million a year and $200 million guaranteed. This is a contract you're definitely paying for him, for the player you think he's going to be. That being said, to me, he was going into the year in a situation now where, all right, if he takes a big step forward this year, all right, maybe, if he proves that he's the generational talent we thought coming out of Clemson, right, now we can talk about giving him the bag. Till then, if he goes out and has another mediocre year, you're going to have that conversation of maybe he's not the player we thought he was. Maybe he's not that generational prospect we thought he was. He is under as much pressure as almost any quarterback in the league. Dak might take the cake without Aaron Rodgers is certainly up there. Those are probably the top two, but Trevor Lawrence is right there. Obviously, he gets his contract now, but he's got to go out and prove it. Because he has not thrown for more than 4,100 yards in the season. He's out thrown for more than 25 touchdowns in the season. You compare his career stats to Daniel Jones, they aren't that far off. Overall, across the board, he's got 1 playoff win in 3 years. You can say, okay, he had 1 bad rookie year that was kind of out of his hands, 1 really good year, and 1 year where he was playing hurt. And he still had an okay year. Okay, but this is the year. They drafted Brian Thomas in the first round. You have him. You have Christian Kirk. You have Evan Engram, ETN. You have more than enough weapons to be successful. Defense should be better. You added a bunch of pieces. You changed the entire coaching staff. This is a big year. To me, if they miss playoffs again, you might have to make a coaching change with Doug Peterson. There are going to be changes if they miss the playoffs again. And I don't have them in the playoffs. I have them at 9-8 and just missing. I had them as a mediocre team. So they gotta, he's gotta step up, Trevor Lawrence. 4,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 14 picks. That's not gonna cut it. Being, slightly above average. Okay, it's cool, but when you were the number 1 pick in the draft, you were labeled a generational prospect, and you're now the highest paid quarterback in the league, along with Joe Burrow, highest paid player in the league, actually, along with Joe Burrow. You can't just be slightly above average in a game manager. You got to be elite. You got to be one of the 4 or 5 best quarterbacks in the world. That's what they're paying him to be. So you will see what happens with Trevor Lawrence, but that's the move of Trevor made. They give him that contract, and T. Higgins has signed his franchise tag. He's expected to report to minicamp now for Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, he's requested to trade multiple times throughout the offseason. He wants a long-term deal, and so they dropped the franchise tag on him. Apparently, they're not expected to agree to a long-term deal. Higgins had an injury play year last year. He played 12 games, 4 catches for 6 yards and 5 touchdowns. But his previous 3 seasons, he had over 90 yards milk for them and at least 1,000 in each of the last 2 months as the second best receiver. They have Jamar Chase. He's a great receiver. I think he'll be a number 1 wideout on a lot of teams. He's a really good number 2 receiver, if nothing else. But that's big because now the Bengals, you lost Tyler Boyd in the offseason. You also rotated back to Joe Mixon. The offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan took the head coach job. If you were to lose Higgins as well, that would be a big loss to your offense. But all of a sudden, you look at the team, you think, all right, obviously you have a strict quarterback, Joe Burrow, healthy. You bring in Zach Moss, who played well in absence of Jonathan Taylor last year in Indianapolis. You have Chase back, of course, trying to get him extended as well. You have Higgins back. You bring in Zach Moss. You draft a Bill Wyman and Marius Mims. The defense isn't always great, but this offense should score a lot of points. So you're in a really competitive division. And to me, Zach Taylor is on the hot seat. Burrow is healthy. Chase is healthy. Higgins is healthy. Higgins is back. I know you lose Boyd, but he was the third option. You lose Mixon, but you replace him with Zach Moss. You draft him everything depth shortly off the line. I know he's 2 on defense, but I know you still have the Ravens there, and they should still be a good team. Cleveland on paper should be a good team. I'll what happens with Watson. Pittsburgh will be a competitive team, I'm sure. They run Russell Wilson and Justin Fields a bit of a cloudy quarterback scenario, but they had Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett last year, and they won 10 games. So obviously, my Tom's still there. You gotta prove that it wasn't just Brian Callahan. If they struggle and if the Bengals were to struggle and miss the playoff, I think he'll definitely get fired. To be honest, but Higgins signed his tag, and it looks like he'll beat the Bengals this year. Shifting to baseball, Jose Abreu has been let go by Houston Astros, so has $30 million left on his deal through next year. He was having a brutal season, saying just 124 through 113 at bats. Was 14 for 113 this year. At one point, they had seen them to the minor leagues at 37 years old. This guy was a former league MVP in the pandemic year, was a beast to the White Sox for a long time. They gave him a 3-year deal with a lot of money last year. And didn't have a good year last year. I hit just 237 last year for 680 OPS. 18 with 90 RBIs. This year is hitting just 124 to 113 at bat. I think they thought he was done, which they might be right about, and he has been released. So Astros, of course, have had just a horrible season. A lot of issues with their pitching. Verlander has not looked great. He's battled some injuries. Pushing Caballero and hopefully he just had Tommy John, JP France hasn't looked good. Hader and Presley has struggled in the bullpens. Their pitching has been a disaster. Alex Bregman has struggled in the contract here. They let go of Jose Abreu, but he was just absolutely awful. So it's been just a disastrous year for the Houston Astros. Obviously, I've been to the ALS every season since 2017. They've been to a bunch of World Series. They've won twice since 2017. But they've had a tough year. And Mookie Betts, he suffered an unfortunate injury. He was hit by a pitch in the last game that he played. He has a fractured wrist. He's going to miss an indefinite amount of time. I'm not sure. He was having, of course, one of the best players in the league. Was having an MVP caliber season. Was hitting 307, 407 on base, 493 slugging, and a 90 OPS with 10 homers and 40 RBI after 71 games. Was having a great season. He's obviously one of the best players in the league. He won MVP in 2018 with Boston. Then he was an MVP finalist last year, hitting 307 with 39 and 107. Also a forward on base, 579 slugging, and that 18 OPS. Isn't having quite that year, but he's still having a great season. And that's a big loss for the Dodgers. Were still stacked. Of course, have Otani and all these other guys. Also, Yamamoto is also hurt, so he's got hurt as well. So Dodgers dealing with a couple of injuries. So much maybe noticed, but Pat Holberg, who's actually been recognized in the past as MLB's most accurate umpire, hasn't worked on games here. That is because he has been disciplined for gambling. Apparently, he was gambling on baseball. He denies it and is appealing, but that's really unfortunate. As a ref, the referee should probably get a harder punishment than players probably. A ref, that can really impact the game. They have umpire gambling. That's terrible. The shame. He's probably he's probably their best umpire, and now I don't know how he's gonna get a year or forever. He's gambling on baseball. He might get forever. He said the umpire should probably get more than the player. As a player, they could be betting on like a guy on the Yankees could be betting on the Mets and Reds. Like technically, it doesn't affect their team. But for the umpire betting on the game, you never know, they could call their umpire friend and say, hey, I took the over on the runs. Maybe call some more balls. The game they're doing, then they could throw the game. So if it's proven that he bet on baseball, he should probably be banned for life. That's a shame. He's a really good umpire. On to a UFC. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, which was supposed to main event UFC on June 29th, has been called off. Conor McGregor got hurt training. Surprise, this guy is done. Body's breaking down. It's been replaced by Alex Pereira against Yuri Prochaska. I think that's how you spell his name. So that will remain at UFC instead. Let's talk Flash of the Castle, though. It was a phenomenal PLE. this past weekend, we opened up with Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Championship against AJ Styles in a live clip match. Cody Rhodes' win was an incredible match. Styles hit him with everything, and he went with Cody's mother, who quite smacked AJ Styles in the face. Then Cody just went for Styles. Of course, grabbed a step was about to hit Styles, but Styles' ankles broke, and he yelled like quit. But Cody hit him with the steps anyway. It was a punishment for him messing with his mother. So good for him. Great match. People got cheer on the Cody Rhodes criticism. His reign been really good. Though his first couple of promos weren't great. The promo right before his first match with a backup with Styles wasn't great, but every match has been phenomenal. Both his matches with AJ Styles have been absolute bangers. The match with Logan Paul was incredible. And those promos have been just fine ever since the first 3 or 4 weeks. It's been really good. He's the best face they got. That was a phenomenal match. And by the way, I tweet this out. The PG era is dead. It is gone. WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match, triple threat. It was Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill against Alba Fire and Alba Dawn and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. And Alba Fire and Alba Dawn win the match. I thought this was a really good match. At one point, Baszler had Cargill in the sleeper. And it appeared like Cargill was counting out, but referee Jessica Clark couldn't see. So, but then eventually, Alba Dawn and Alba Fire end up picking up the win. This was a really good match. It was I forgot which one of them. It was Alba Fire. She had a recent tragedy in her family. Her parents were in a car accident recently. From the passing away. She's been going through this for a little while now. So she's actually from Scotland, where the PLE was. So to win the championship in great performance in her home country, right? Battling the tragedy, that was a really cool moment for her. Also, by the way, we need to lay off the criticism of Jade Cargill. I'm not sure she slipped on the rope. Cody Rhodes did the same thing. Right when the match started, the referee went to intercept and showed him that the rope was loose. There was an issue with the rope for pretty much every match. It was not just Jade Cargill. Y'all are going to lay off the criticism on that. But very good match. We'll see what happens. Does Baszler and Stark look for a match against Fire and Dawn? I wonder if this will set up maybe Bianca to possibly turn on Jade and turn heel. That's a match between the two of them, either at SummerSlam or maybe even further down the line or through Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. I've always thought that was going to be a play Bianca against Jade. That could be an incredible match. Jade probably needs a little more time in the ring, but once she's ready, I'd say it'd be a phenomenal match because she's still talented. Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn defended against Chad Gable. That was a phenomenal match. Sami Zayn comes out on top, retained the title. The shot at the end with Sami Zayn doing this, saying "You're done," and Gable looking absolutely infuriated was absolutely incredible. More incredible camera from WWE ever since they fired Kevin Dunn. Great match, obviously. He's trying to get the Alpha Academy involved. He's trying to get Maxine Dupree to interfere. And she wouldn't do it. And eventually, at one point, Gable had Zayn in the ankle lock outside the ring, and Sami countered, and he threw Gable into Maxine Dupree, and that pissed off Otis. Gable was trying to get to help him out throughout the match. And at one point, Otis was carrying Maxine Dupree to the back, and then that distraction caused Sami Zayn to pick up the win. It was a phenomenal match. Raw will be interesting with Chad Gable. Bayley against Piper Niven. Bayley retains the title. I thought that was a pretty good match. I gotta say, Piper Niven, she's one of the more underrated women on this roster. She's really good. Very funny. Kelsey Williams was thrown on that. She came up with the Rey Mysterio mask, which I think to be a different person. I remember Wade Barrett said, "Who is this masked woman?" It was so funny. Yeah, people making up all nicknames for it. It was very funny. But overall, it was a solid match. He was a really good wrestler, obviously, and they retained the title. And then the main event was the World Heavyweight Championship. McIntyre came out to that great entrance. Everyone wanted him to call the Broken Dream. Didn't quite do that, but having him coming out to all the bagpipes, of course, that's a Scotch tradition. He had a phenomenal entrance. But obviously, it was a great back and forth match. Priest was pretty battling an ankle injury. Not like I think he was selling. It was a legit injury. He was probably battling throughout the match, and he pushed through, so kudos to him. And then at one point, the referee got knocked out of the ring. 2 minutes later, McIntyre hits a Claymore, but no referee in the ring. Then also you see they zoom out, you see a referee, running down the ramp. He gets in the ring, starts counting 1, 2, he stops. Then the camera turns to and it's CM Punk. He was going like this, saying only 2. Then McIntyre grabs him by the throat, frustration, and Punk kicks him in the, below the belt zone. Then he just stands there on the ramp. You got people flipping him off. The Punk fans over there were cheering. Then, McIntyre hits him with his finishing move. The referee comes back in the ring. Count to 3. Matt and Priest retains the World Heavyweight Championship. People were bitching about it. But you gotta remember, if they were gonna have McIntyre not win, this is the way they were gonna do it. I think the decision was fine. Punk and McIntyre's chemistry is incredible, no matter how much they hate each other in real life, if that's still the way it is. Their match will be at SummerSlam, or maybe if they bring back Bad Blood in October, like we're hearing, is going to be absolutely amazing. They're on the way to having the feud of the year. Absolutely incredible. And then you saw Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett was not happy afterwards, obviously. But incredible pay-per-view, or PLE rather. You have a couple of news up. Jeff Hardy returns to TNA. That's really cool. Him returning to TNA. And also, AJ Styles is going to be wrestling in Japan at Noah. The fact that WWE is climbing with all these other wrestling companies. You got Sky's doing a match in Japan as well from their wrestling company. Yeah, Jeff Hardy coming back to TNA. Styles might wrestle on TNA at some point. Again, I think it's really, really cool. Obviously, Jordan Grace from TNA choosing the Rumble. She's fighting for the NXT Women's Championship. Of course, she fought Roxanne Perez at NXT down arena at the UFC arena in a banger. Well, I think that's really, really cool. And but to finish off, Charles Barkley announced after next season when Nintendo the NBA finishes, he's going to retire from doing TV. So salute Charles Barkley, one of the greatest sports talkers ever. Congratulations to Bryson DeChambeau. He wins the U.S. Open for the second time in his career, first time since 2020. He had a great bunker shot, get within 4 feet on 18 after Rory missed the 4-footer on 18, and he pars it to win the U.S. Open. Incredible finish. And by the way, Rory is such a complete loser, not talking to the media. What a sore loser. There's a reason I don't like this guy. The guy's a great player. He's got a big mouth. He's a complete douche and a complete loser. But congratulations to Bryson DeChambeau. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.